By the end of Cyberpunk Edge Runners, David Martinez is an absolute, you already know what it is, part 2 to the David build. I guess not part 2, 2.0. Y'all have been asking for it, but this time around I wanted to do something just a little bit different.
Yeah, but I know y'all came for the David build. Wanna know my favorite skill when I'm locked in, loaded and I aim to kill. Wanna know how an HA feels? Get some chrome for the payday thrills. Ever socket at the top, but we never gonna stop, cause we already just made them deals. Okay, now hold up, the Lukey show just done showed up, cause all I know is this dork isn't really just spitting colder than anybody I've heard. This YouTuber's bringing words, so maybe y'all hit subscribe and join the 4K who heard it first.
I mean, if you want to. I can't make you. But no, if you like that, dope. I'll probably do it some more. If you didn't like that, I'm sorry, because I'll probably do it some more anyway. But let's actually get into the video. You know what? I gotta stick to what I said the first time. David strong, David fast, David cool. And I know we love him, but damn, David dumb. So for attributes, obviously, we're gonna dodge intelligence altogether. We won't be using a cyber deck beyond having to in the early levels, so intelligence will only hinder the build later on. So in strength, I put it at 18, reflexes is at 20, tech is at 20, and cool is also at 20, with intelligence being the number of girls I've pulled in my entire lifetime. 3. That's a joke, I'm sorry, please just laugh. And obviously this is with the Phantom Liberty expansion, so you get 10 extra attribute points, and I'm gonna assume you have Phantom Liberty. If not, then maybe I'd suggest 15 in reflex and 13 in body, as we want the level 20 perks in tech and cool respectively. Plus, while David got kinda jacked, he was never on mains or Atom Smasher's level of strength, so I think it's fair to make him a bit weaker. Plus, strength only really helps with shotguns and LMGs, which I really didn't use too much in this build, and once you see it, I don't think you will either. But I'm gonna jump into body first. Since I said I'm not really using shotguns, while they are really fun, we mainly want Painkiller and its branching perks. This allows health regen in combat, and the branching perks just increase its effectiveness. Next, if you do level to 15, then you can unlock Adrenaline Rush for its increased health stats. The branching perks for this also come in handy, as they increase damage and movement speed, and it negates movement penalties and non-damaging status effects. But if you don't have Phantom Liberty, don't worry, you won't be missing too much if you don't have Adrenaline Rush. Because in Reflex, having level 15 or 20, we get access to a lot of game-changing perks. From bottom to top, I'd go for Slippery and most of its branches besides the slide distance. While it can be cool, I just don't find myself sliding very often, and I don't think you will either, especially once you can dash. Branches off dash are not super necessary, but they can offer some decent buffs. On the left, I chose to get Ready, Rested, and Reloaded, only because of a perk further up the tree. Right above that is Sharpshooter. Sharpshooter will allow you better handling with SMGs and ARs and give you some stamina buffs, but the reason I went with this at all is for the joined perk with Air Dash. Because once you unlock Air Dash in the top middle, you can increase air maneuverability and unlock Air Korenzakov, because it's just cool and it's a lot of fun. A couple level 20 perks are cool, but they're not necessary, as Tailwind will give you stamina from double jumps and air dashes, and Submachine Fun is just that, it's fun. If you're using some SMGs, it can make fire rate pretty nutty, which can come in handy when using a Sandy. Oh, dandy. Also, Stunt Jock is thrown in there for good measure because jumping out of cars is also just plain old fun. For tech, we do want a lot of perks here as well, because I hate to say it, but this is David's section. If you saw my first build, I went super low in tech because it only really offered crafting and explosive buffs, and I'm not a big fan of the tech weapons. Some can be cool, but aren't as fun for sandy gameplay. I'll keep this one simple. Just get everything in the middle column. I do, minus the cellular adapter, as in my opinion, it really isn't worth too much. I also have all the main perks in the left column, but mainly only for the Ticking Time Bomb perk, which just activates an EMP, dealing stun and damage to those around you after activating Sandevistan. Whatever works. Am I right? Sandy? After activating Sandy? Also, Doom Launcher is nice for the projectile launch system, since we actually will use it this time around. If you don't have Phantom Liberty, I'd say skip it, as you won't be able to jailbreak your ARM cyberware, but since you can, it's actually pretty dope. And now for cool, I can't believe they took away my Cold Blood. It's honestly such a shame. It was such a good perk pre 2.0, but at least they still made cool one of my go-to stat maxes. Bottom right, we'll grab Killer Instinct, as it will help us with damage outside of combat, which will be easy using a Sandy and our movement. We'll get quick getaway as well, as this increases our movement speed after neutralizing an enemy undetected. On the left, get the main perks, but especially Nerves of Tungsten Steel, which states when Deadeye is active, you get guaranteed crit hits for headshots and damage increases with distance. Deadeye increases headshot damage, so this combo becomes truly sand devastating. Shout out to the dude in the comment who said that I missed that opportunity last video. Having long shot will help increase the total damage output as well. Avoid High Noon because I found it doesn't really play well with Sandies. Deep Breath on the focus tree doesn't seem to interrupt a Sandy though, and can be a little bonus when using Air Karinsakov. Finally, Run and Gun can be handy for hip firing a pistol as it doesn't cost stamina, so you'll be able to keep Deadeye active more often. Finally, if you have Phantom Liberty, jailbreak your ARM Cyberware and unlock Launch Capacity Override, as this will give you yet another charge for the launch system, which is kinda nuts because you get that barrage of rockets. Vulnerability, analytics, and machine learning can also come in clutch when in combat because of the guaranteed crit hits and the EMP blast it can inflict on surrounding enemies. Also, last time I mentioned, or I guess I asked, what your favorite ice cream was, and I got a lot of varying responses. But this time, I'm curious what your favorite candy bar is. Let me know in the comments. But let's move on to some cyberware. And honestly, I genuinely believe this game isn't that difficult, even on very hard, which is the only difficulty I've ever played on, so it's pretty easy to make your build overpowered. But let's run through this anyway, as you David Stans get ready to critique my every decision. We'll start in the frontal cortex and just cycle through the list. I want to do this quick because who's trying to sit through a 20-minute build video? I wouldn't. I'll be honest, I'm unsure which ones I picked up in Dogtown, but I guess if you don't have Phantom Liberty and you go to a Ripper Dock and don't see anything, that's why. Frontal cortex. I'm using a Newton module. You can use the axolotl if you've finished Regina's gigs, but for the most part, they'll work the same. Just decreased cooldown on all cyberware. Really handy for the Sandy, I did it again, and Karinsakov and everything else. I've been using Air Karinsakov a lot, so I also got the Karinsakov boost system. It lowers stamina cost, increases slow time, and it's reflex attuned for increased crit chance, which with the use of our perks is almost kind of redundant, but whatever. Most frontal cortex cyberware is most useful for intelligence builds, and since we only have 3 brain cells, I figured I'd just throw self-ice on there to negate quick hacks. I've rarely even had to use it or have it be used because everyone can get dropped by the time they'd successfully hack us, but oh well, better safe than sorry. For our operating system, for the sake of the David build, we gotta go with the Militech Apogee, as it slows down time more than any other Sandy. Honestly though, any Sandy does a great job, I just wish they didn't nerf the duration of the Apogee. 6 seconds is kind of rough, but if you're eliminating enemies in quick succession, it shouldn't be a big deal. Plus, while waiting for it to recharge a bit, just hit some Air Karinsakov, and it kind of feels like the same thing, if you can hit your shots. The Apogee also increases crit chance and crit damage. Crit damage is easily the focus with using a pistol and having Deadeye with the perks to guarantee crit hits, but the added headshot bonus make those crits slap. For our arms, I can't believe I'm actually saying it, but we got the projectile launch system. And since we haven't statted into blades at all, we don't need mantis blades or monowire, which is monowire still considered a blade? I don't know. Let me know. Anyway, last time I used Gorilla Arms because David took Main's mitts, but since they buffed the arm launcher with 2.0, I think it's only fair to use it. And I mean, we did get one of the dopest scenes in the anime with him using it, so may as well throw it on here. For our face cyberware, I went with the Kuroshi Rooster 3s. I know that's not what they're called, but I kind of feel like it makes it feel like a pair of Jordans, and I like that. This significantly increases crit chance, and this was for sure picked up in Dogtown. Any optic will be good though, it doesn't really matter in my opinion, any of them work. For the Skelly, I went with Parabellum for some armor, Titanium Bones because I'm an absolute loot goblin, and it's just a decent way to make money. Just hoard some weapons and sell them around. They increased some vendors' money amount, so if you have enough weapons, you can make like a quick 130k. And finally, Kinetic Frame to increase our mitigation chance when stamina is high, which if you're air dashing and double jumping, it should almost always be high. For the hands, since we have the perk to open up another hand slot, I got a Ballistic Processor and Shock Absorber. Ballistic Processor is just for ricochets and the Shock Absorber reduces recoil. Pretty straightforward. The nervous system, I got a Visual Cortex support, which just further increases crit chance the further you are from your target. And if you can't tell, we should only be hitting crits basically, even if in active combat, which most times if you're quick and plan just a little bit, should be no problem. It's pretty easy staying undetected with this build, but when the fighting starts, you can still finish quick. There's a joke there, but I'll let you make it. Then, since David's fast, I had to go with the Adreno trigger. This This increases movement speed by 30% for 30 seconds when entering combat, so you can be zooming. The regular legendary adrenaline converter makes you go faster, but it's only for like 7 seconds. And who only wants 7 seconds? There's another joke there, but I'm trying to keep it friendly. Finally, of course we gotta have the Korintakov. Otherwise, this build would take off about as well as Ben Quadineros. And if you don't get that joke, I don't like you. Circulatory system, we got the biomonitor. This makes it easy to just be brainless in fights, which is perfect for a David build. It'll automatically use our heals for us, but it can also give you false confidence, much like David as well, and you'll find yourself in David's position, dead. But that's why we have Second Heart, which David didn't have, but really would have come in handy for him. Once we die, we can remember, oh yeah, that's actually possible. And then you can make a quick getaway and get back into cover. But until you die, it's guns blazing like our boy. Finally, just because it's dope and one of the best things in any RPG, the integumentary system, I have nanoplating because it just sounds kind of cool, but it can block projectiles, so why not? We got the paint editor to decrease all incoming damage and make ourselves a bit more tanky, and just some subdermal armor. Honestly, I'm not hyper analyzing all the cyberware too much, and I could sit here all day and try to think of the absolute best thing to canonically represent David, but I wanted just to kind of roleplay David and make it a good build still, so this is the stuff that worked out really well for me and kind of made me feel like I was playing like David. Or I mean, kind of makes me feel like this is the build that David would play if he were to play the game. And plus, we don't have sin lungs, so, I mean, let me have it in the comments. And I don't even think sin lungs are a thing anymore. I think those got removed. But I'm sure I could really dial things in, but in my opinion, do you really have to? Just have fun. And last, but certainly not least, legs. If you use anything other than reinforced tendons for any reason ever on any build at all, I'm suspicious of you and your decisions. Also, don't forget to check out your skill progression. You can level these up independently from your attributes, so pay attention and just see what kind of buffs you can get from them. They can be pretty big sometimes. Like level 55 Headhunter, damage bonuses from being undetected outside of combat persists for 3 seconds after entering combat. Sounds kind of confusing, but it can be clutch when you've barely just been detected. Plus, that's a good time to activate your Sandy and really stretch those 3 seconds out. Pretty sure that's how it works. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Lastly, I've basically just been using Her Majesty since I got it, and it's a solid pistol. But if you don't have Phantom Liberty, just use a tier 5++ whatever unity or new. They'll do good damage and fire decently quick even when the Sandy is activated. And I'm sure a revolver would actually be nasty with the guaranteed crit hits and headshot damage boosts, so that could be a good play, but we just never really saw David use that. I don't think we really saw him use a new either, and we may not have even seen him use a unity, because he used the Lexington most of the time. Most of the time we saw him. Anyway, like I said, I'm not nitpicking this build. If you want to nitpick the build, make your own video. I'm just trying to share what was fun. But like I said, those will do good damage and fire decently quick, even when the Sandy is activated. Otherwise, since you can activate and deactivate the Sandy whenever, I just use it for damage boosts on unsuspecting enemies. It's hard not to one-tap a large majority of enemies, and even if they're a skull enemy, you can still drop them in a couple shots easy. Just line it up. Anyway, that's all I really got for the David build. I put off making this video for ages, because I'm sorry. If you've made it to the end of the video, I didn't really want to make this video, and I'm only making it because I feel a little obligated since the previous video got so many views, and there's still a decent amount of views trickling in, and I feel bad because it's super out of date. So I'm making this to at least have something that's updated, but build videos are not going to be the focus of the channel at all. I'm probably gonna I don't know what the word is. I can't think of the word. Switch over to doing more like video essay styles. I don't know, maybe I'll just show off playing some games with some commentary, kind of like a Let's Play. But that, I know nobody will watch unless I do it really well. So I don't know, maybe I'll drop some more bars in a video. That stuff's fun. I just want to have fun. And honestly, the David build wasn't the most fun. I had fun on the first one just because I was excited, but then time went on and my excitement dwindled. I stopped playing Cyberpunk as much, and then I just felt bad because the video wasn't updated. But I still want to make videos for you guys, so if you got any suggestions of things you want to see, let me know. I'll see if I get around making it. But anyway, that's all I really got. Later.